mainly a race to survive.
My adrenaline was pumping so much.
On Saturday, avid hiker Kyle Burgess was climbing the trails of Utah's Slate Canyon Park when he noticed an unwanted follower.
No! No! Go away! Go away! Please go away!
A cougar stalking Burgess just after he'd spotted her 4 cubs along the trail. Burgess starts recording the chase, lasting nearly 6 minutes.
Go away. Go get your babies. I'm not coming back down.
At first, the cougar pursues Burgess at a slow pace, but soon she closes in, lunging and charging at him, flashing teeth and claws.
I definitely thought, I was gonna get hurt.
The cougar continues charging and hissing at Burgess.
Come on, dude. I don't feel like dying today.
In fear, he hurls a rock toward the wild cat, quickly causing it to retreat and dart away.
I can't even explain on what I thought this would happen, because this is all just crazy to me.
Katie Beck, NBC News.
Kind of scary, huh? I figured y'all would like that. That is out of, I think I caught that as Utah, actually. But, it just goes to show you the animal, it was trying to protect its cubs. So I doubt very seriously if it would have even bothered him if she hadn't been around the cubs, unless he just walked up on her. And then when he also threw a rock at her, she takes off running. So that was just I saw it today and I thought, man, I know who's going to be saying, look at that, look at that. That's what the lions will do. That's what mountain lions will do. I hope everybody's good tonight. We got a few cases to cover out here, and some strange ones and some not so strange ones. We still are covering of course, we're keeping our eye on the Morphew case. One thing I read today or heard that supposedly that Profiling Evil guys said that they thought something was going to occur pretty soon. I don't know what that means, but Plunder was, when I listened to Plunder today, she was making indications that something may be fixing to happen. I don't know where they get their information on that, because I haven't heard anything from law enforcement, or I haven't heard anything from Andy again either. Tonight, we're going to cover a few cases. One, we're going to cover one sent in by an email to my site. Appreciate all your emails. We will get to your cases if we believe that we can do any good, or they need to be, or they're not, look like an obvious, the police may be investigating a possible homicide, body's been recovered. The first one I want to post up here is, let me get it back up. Yeah. Is a hiker out of Utah. This girl right here is Shelby Campbell, 29 years old. She is missing on September the 8th, 2020. Claimed to be an avid hiker in North Odin Divide. And I'm going to play a little video on this. It tells about this. Actually, the video was done pretty much after I've got a couple of them here, and if I mess up on this, I'll get out of it and go to the other one.
It's been nearly a week, and the search continues for a hiker who disappeared in North Ogden. As ABC4's Nick McGurk reports, it happened on the very same day as that massive windstorm, and her family is asking the public for help.
There's people up here who have no clue who Shelby is.
On horseback, on motorcycles, and on foot, the search for 29-year-old Shelby Campbell continues.
She's just overall a kind person, loving person, and doesn't deserve to be deserted.
Ever since Tuesday's windstorm, when Shelby Campbell disappeared, Weber County officials have searched North Ogden Canyon. They've scouted by helicopter and drone. They've deployed dozens to search these trails and woods. But after days of searching, the official search called off.
We won't give up.
The family pledging they won't give up. Volunteers will continue to walk through these trails and off trail as well. The family saying they want anybody who was here that day, who might have seen Shelby or could at least share what conditions were like, to come forward, because the family says they need all information they can get.
whatever help we can get, we're going to take.
Campbell, family members say, was an experienced hiker. And after Tuesday's win, they say they can't stop until they get answers.
The not knowing anything is really hard.
Up North Ogden Canyon, I'm Nick McGurk, ABC4 News.
I understand somebody said they thought they found her. We're going to check real quick on the internet. As of this afternoon, I didn't see that. I actually checked like at 3 o'clock this afternoon, but there's all possibility that they did. I hope they found her alive. Appreciate that vote. November 3rd. I appreciate that comment. She was an avid hiker. You know, I hear that, you know, we looked into a couple of other hikers. There was one a male that was found deceased on the mountain. I don't remember exactly where I read it. I thought it was Colorado, where that
her car was found.
Her car was found?
Yeah, it's been nearly a month since Shelby Campbell's car was found. Well, that's the latest news on here.
You know, I understand, you know, like the girl, they had the 2 girls missing on the mountain there in Washington State. They had the guy that they found deceased. I think he was rock climbing and died. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with going hiking by yourself, solo and everything, but it's just so much safer to go with somebody else, a friend that, you know, I always find that getting out and doing things together as friends actually is more enjoyable. But I realize too, going by yourself too does have a lot, you know, every once in a while we just kind of need to get away. But it's always safety in numbers. I mean, you know, if one or two of you, if one of you fell and did something, you know, you could go out, the other one could go for help. And what I read some people saying they thought maybe that she might have got off trail, had to go to the bathroom, whatever, and fell and maybe broke her leg or something. And that just basically didn't get out. You know, that I remember it was about a couple of years ago. My cousin was telling me that she had a good friend. She knew an older lady that hiked the Appalachian Trail and hiked it a lot. And that she was hiking the trail. They had planned to hike a portion of the trail. It was like 325 miles, something like that. And there was 2 ladies together. And one of the ladies had to get off the trail to go to a doctor's appointment or something. So they were going to catch up at the next point, resupply point. And when she didn't show up, they immediately knew something was wrong. So they started to search. Well, it was a long time. I'm talking about maybe months before they finally found her body. And it was, she had got off trail, fallen, broke her leg or broke her hip or something, stayed there and tried to survive as long as she could, hoping somebody would find her. But at the last, she wrote a note, basically just a goodbye note, and she died. They did find her, but she was in, I want to say she's in her late 70s, early 80s. I mean, this lady was, she was a beast. I mean, getting out here on the Appalachian Trail. I mean, the trails at best very difficult.
Some six impossible things before breakfast says there's another hiker missing in California, went into Zion on the shuttle and never came back out.
Wow. Well, you know, in Zion, we have both been to Zion. Beautiful, beautiful park. If you can ever go to Utah, Utah's full of parks out there. You got Zion, Bryce, the Arches, Canyonland, Monument Valley. You know, it's great hiking. But they have a lot of very dangerous hikes inside Zion. They got one called Angel's Peak, where you hike up to the top and then you actually have to hold a chain on that thing to get to the very, very top. And if one really slip and that's it, you're gone. But when somebody's missing out there, you got to realize too, that's very high elevation. some of the trails are. So with snow coming in, it's going to be difficult at best. I was surprised and very pleased. I got a lot of emails reference to the Benadryl challenge and how parents talk to their children about it, and even restricted some phone services, I think. But I have that again. If y'all would like to see it, if anybody missed it, we will do it later on in the broadcast. I will show you again what's going on and what is that? Now I can't even think of what site that was again.
TikTok.
TikTok, yeah, TikTok. I want to bring up a couple of others that was sent in to me also to look at. I don't have a whole lot of information on these. See, this one is he's like one of those cage fighters. He was staying in, this is in February, I think February the 8th, last seen. He was staying with a friend at they own this motel, and they gave him a room for a couple of nights, Peachtree Inn there. And I think, let me see, I see where this exactly is. I want to say it's in Missouri, Branson Police Department. I'm thinking that's Missouri. My eyes are not as best in the world, and I just copied this out late. Let me read here. But what happened was his friend got into this room and said, "You can stay a couple of days on me." And he had texted his friends to come over and see him and all this. And then finally, he texted one of them and said, basically, he thinks he's in some type of danger. Now, I don't know the exact text, but here you go. You got a guy 6'6", 240. I mean, this boy is a beast. So I don't know. It's in Missouri, yeah, Branson, Missouri. I don't know who would or how many it took to take him out or some danger situation, but he's never been seen since. And it shows some tattoos. He's pretty well tattooed up. And I just don't know what type of incident, unless, you may, and I'm not saying this is true, but I'm just thinking about all the different things. If he would have been involved in something outside of associated with his fighting, any gambling or something like that, that might be it. But it's hard to believe that, he would be in danger unless somebody held a gun to him, his size, But if you are around Branson, Missouri, and you know this or have any information, and we're not, listen, me, because I know y'all don't think this on the people on the stream, but people that watch us later on, we're not insinuating that he was involved in any gambling or drugs or anything. I'm just simply saying something caused somebody to want to hurt him, or to make him feel like he was in danger. So, I'm just saying a lot of stuff involving fighters, a lot of times you can be involved in situations that have to do with your fighting skill and your bouts and whatever's going on. But his mother's real concerned for him, and his friends are real concerned for him. So if you know anything about this, please call the Branson Police Department. We want to cover another one here. This one here there's a $10,000 reward. This was also sent in by one of our viewers. And this one is kind of weird, very, very weird in my opinion. This girl is from Carthage, Texas. She disappeared in January of 2019. They got a $10,000 reward on her. Her name is Lauren Thompson. She's 34, or had been 34. And last heard from around that date, around 2:10 p.m. on the 10th of January, 2019. after she made a 21-minute phone call to 911 saying that she was in the woods and somebody was chasing her, and the phone abruptly ended. Now, they did a massive search for this girl, massive, and horseback, foot search, everything you can imagine. They put dogs and everything, and they found her car abandoned also. The Texas Rangers were involved, the FBI on technical support, a 911 cell phone. They tracked her. They did track her phone, and her steps generated some leads, but for nothing else. They think she was kidnapped. But now listen to this. There was another YouTuber I watched in reference to this. They had 2 911 calls at her house before this, in the days leading up to this. And they were, I didn't feel like I should, it's her channel. I didn't want to copy stuff off her channel. And I couldn't find where these 911 calls she got the information from. But they were like, one was that she was reporting that she heard a couple of people outside the house. She thought it was her boyfriend and another guy, and they were planning on doing something to her or planning something to make her look like she did something. Now, some people think that she might have been psychotic, that she was having a mental breakdown, that she was thinking paranoid, thinking somebody's after her. And that might have been back then, but I don't think the police found anything. They went out there and didn't find a thing. But when she claimed that she was in the woods and her phone led out into that general area, and they did find her car, but they haven't found her at all. So obviously the police would not come up and say, that she was possibly kidnapped. Let me see if this
somebody's asking about the PayPal account. The retired sergeant is.
Yeah, we do have one. It's on our, if you go to my channel page, you can look up into the right-hand corner of the channel page and you'll see the little P there, blue P. That's how you access it. It's actually for our LLC name, actually. Let me see if this is the...
Next News at 5.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Alexandra Meacham. We begin tonight in Panola County. Officials are searching for a missing woman after she called 911, believing she was being followed. Her cell phone died during the call and she has not been heard from since. 33-year-old Lauren Elizabeth Thompson is approximately 5'5", 190 pounds with brown hair and brown eyes. Thompson said during the call on Thursday night she was in a wooded area and thought someone was chasing her. Officials later found her car in a ditch off Road 1794 just west of Rock Hill. Investigators are still searching for leads. If you have any information, please call the Panola County Sheriff's Office.
That is just, it's very strange, and you got to wonder, was she, it's hard to say. Well, I heard people say, oh, she's crazy. She's just ran off in the woods and she's thinks, well, if that was the case, they probably would have found her by now. They searched that whole area. I forgot how many man hours I read where they searched the whole area. They used FBI. They pinged her last position of her phone. They searched the area, didn't find anything. So they have came out and said they believe that she was kidnapped. I'm going to go up here and show these pictures one more time. This is a lot of different faces of her. She appears to, in some of them, I guess, to be a little sad even, but she, $10,000 reward, and she's been missing for a year. So it's kind of
what state?
This is Texas.
Texas.
Carthage, Texas. I got a snoring dog down here right beside me. It's the strangest thing. Um,
Oh, she got quiet when you got
yeah,
quiet.
she got quiet when I got quiet.
She's snoring under my chair.
Yes,
Hey,
exactly.
Tony's from New Zealand,
Oh, wow.
Lake City.
Always wanted to go. There's a couple places I really want to go to is New Zealand and Australia. Of course, the way COVID is right now, I don't know when this is going to ever let up. But there's one more case I want to discuss, but does anybody have any questions about this one? This is a kind of a very, very strange case. I mean, you know, the indications from everybody that I thought before, I mean, that first phone call, that first one about she hears somebody outside her house and they're plotting against her, and she believes one of them is her boyfriend. That just, to me, it doesn't sound right. You know, it doesn't sound that you know, if it's her boyfriend, why don't she go out there and say, hey, what's up? You know, if she said, well, it's my ex-boyfriend, I would have thought, okay. But I know there's no information that they questioned him. I'm sure that they probably have at the FBI, and the Texas Rangers are involved. I'm sure that they haven't questioned her, but or questioned him rather. And, you know, you would think that some information would be there. I wonder if y'all can hear this. Can y'all hear? If y'all, can you hear that dog? That our dog is snoring up a storm.
At least she's not causing an earthquake.
That's right. At least she's not causing an earthquake. But then I've heard that, yeah, see, they said authorities have used search dog, aircraft, foot teams, and used search in her and turned up nothing. And I did read some comments on a Facebook page that I saw that said that the police department wasn't doing anything if they thought that maybe she was psychotic. But, you know, anytime, even in the Morphew case, when law enforcement is silent, it doesn't mean that they're not working, you know? It just means that they don't have leads, or they're working it from the backside. They're investigating what you do when you investigate a disappearance or murder. You go and look at what all they did during the day, and you talk to everybody that they had contact with, and you see if you can generate any leads off of that. And then up to the last person that had contact with them, and then you go from there. But it doesn't say anything about that. So I was, other than the $10,000 reward, I didn't see anything promising about this
Sarah,
case.
she was missing last January of 2019.
Yeah, January the 10th was the last time she was seen in 2019. You think about that, a 21 minute phone call to 911.
Read what Joy Catcher said.
If I can. I have to trust and research. Trust and research. My niece told us she was being followed. She was on drugs, mental illness. So indeed looking not good outcome.
They found her body.
Oh, they did find her body?
Yes, they found her niece's body.
Her niece's body or this girl's body?
Her niece's, Joy's niece's body.
Oh, that's not good. I'm sorry. I really am. You know, the majority of my whole law enforcement career was in narcotics, primarily. I worked at a larger department. We had about 300 officers at the time. I worked a lot of different assignments. I worked in uniform in the section of town where it's mostly high crime. I did that out of choice. I was young. I wanted to be involved. I wanted the more calls, the better. The more action, the better. and then I got transferred just out of a not luck. I injured myself off duty and then worked myself into investigation from that by just somebody asking me. They had me on a front desk duty, and while my arm was broke, and they asked me if I wanted to come help on investigating some applicants. And so I went in there and did that, and they offered me a position in an internal affairs division. And I told him, the lieutenant, I said, that's just not what I want to do. He said, where would you like to go? And I said, narcotics. And I ended up there, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And the best job you can ever have in law enforcement, in my opinion. I know other guys on SWAT and all those guys will say something different, but believe me, it is truly rewarding job. You can really see you making a difference. And then my last job where I retired from actually was, I worked in uniform for a while, and then I went to law school. Then I got out and went back into law enforcement and ended up in narcotics again, and ended my career basically as a narcotics supervisor. But I absolutely loved it. But now in the job where I was in narcotics at the larger department, I got to work robbery task force, I got to work homicide, I got to work, a rape task force and surveillance task force, and a lot of other stuff that really kind of cut my teeth for the end of my career. But what I was getting to was that drugs is I've seen people's lives totally ruined by narcotics. You would think, why would you want to put something in you that makes your teeth rot out like meth? Or why would you want to sell your body to buy cocaine or something like that? And I'm not talking about marijuana. Marijuana is legal in maybe 14 states now. And I honestly believe, which I never thought this would happen, I honestly believe probably within the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be legal in every state. So, and because it's way too much money to the communities that legalize it. And it does have some medical things,
Tommy, Joy said cops knew who killed her niece. Fingerprints were lost. No rape kit was done. She was naked and shoved in a barrel. Things for beer. There was no swab done. It's a sad trail.
Did they bury her or cremate the body? Do you know? If they buried her, she probably still has evidence unless they get away with it. You mean the autopsy did not do swabs or anything, DNA like that?
Oh. She said because drugs were involved, a lot of times the cases aren't as important.
Well, I've seen.
It's okay.
I've seen where, like, in some cities, prostitutes to be murdered, and they won't take it as a serious enough case. But they live the lifestyle. And I had mentioned this. I probably mentioned this once before, but I'll tell you a little story about a case that I had. I had an informant that was brought to me by a city official that is his son, and he was into drugs. And he got in some trouble, and he wanted him to basically be an informant to break down the bridges that kept him in that lifestyle and do something to help himself out on some serious criminal charges. So we did. And we made like 22 drug buys, where he was going to have to testify in court that he bought these drugs from these people. We had him wired. We had him on a wire. He had recorded conversations. We had the evidence. We had made everything. And while we were waiting for the grand jury to come out so us to do this, I was at some training. We were in some training. I was in training. She went with me to Destin, Florida. And my judge calls me on the phone. He said, "Where are you at?" And I told him. He said, "You sitting down?" I said, "Well, I'm driving. What's up?" And he told me that the guy's dead. Now, at the time, I tried to get homicide to work this case as a homicide in this other town where he died at. It was a close by town. And they just ruled it as a OD. They just said, "No, he just OD." I said, "Look, this is going on. It's not just an OD. It's not. Listen, I'm telling you, my information that he was murdered." They just wrote it off. And I found out about 9 years later by somebody that came and told me, "You know he was murdered." I said, "Well, I figured he was murdered." Said, "Yeah, there were some people he bought drugs from. They didn't want to go to prison. So they murdered him by spiking his drink and causing him to have an OD." He was drinking Long Island iced teas with his girlfriend, supposedly his girlfriend, and she claims that he didn't have no drugs that night. And they found Xanax and a bunch of Xanax, Lortab, hydrocodone, and some other stuff in his system. Well, Xanax and hydrocodone and all that stuff is a deadly cocktail when you take them in excess together. But anyway, even though murder does not have a statute of limitations on it, if you can't get anybody to investigate it, it's the same as. What are you saying? But anyway, we have anything else to talk about on these cases? I got one more that I want to get into. This is a case out of Idaho, and this is a cold case. This is Ethan Burt Kazmir. See, I can't pronounce these. I'm sorry. Kazmerzak. Kazmierzak. Is that right? But anyway, you get my point. Now I'm going to show you a poster that he had. He was at the age of report. He was 22 years old. 180, 5'5", white, dark blonde hair, blue eyes, male. Hampton, Idaho, Franklin County.
Russell, you gotta stop.
What?
It's cracking me up. He said, "You don't know you the how? No, Idaho."
Yeah, Idaho.
Lord.
Yeah, but this is not Idaho. Did I say it was Idaho? This is Iowa. Iowa. I know how to say Iowa, but I can't pronounce his name.
You're killing me.
All right. According to findethan.com, he was last seen at several pubs. So he made several pubs. You know, they got a thing called what's that thing? Pub crawl?
Yes, pub crawl.
Yeah, pub crawl.
Not that we've ever done it.
Not that we've ever done it, but I know some people that do. And they go from pub to pub to pub to where they almost have to crawl out, you know, and get a ride home. They often take an Uber down and so they don't have to drive. But he had been seen at including the Pit Row and the Red Moose. This is in there in the Hampton, as well as Ducks in Airedale. Said he's reported last seen at a party at a gravel pit pond located behind a house, 1400 block of 190th Street. So obviously this information is relevant to the people that live in that area. His cell phone was last used at 12 5:30 a.m. on September the 15th. There is a $100,000 reward for information leading to his safe return. That is the key. That's like in the Morphew case when Barry offers the $200,000 reward for the safe return. Well, if they're not safely returned, there's nobody gets the money. But that's not why we do it. I'm not doing it trying to get any money out of these people. His silver 2006 Volkswagen Jetta, license number AUZ 382, is still missing. Now you think about that. His car is still missing. And I don't know if any of y'all know what tag readers are? Have you heard about law enforcement with tag readers? A lot of cities will have these tag readers set up all through the city. And what they do is every car that comes by, I don't care if you're doing 60 miles an hour, they can read that tag. It's a computer camera thing. They run every tag comes through. They run it, every one, to find out if it's stolen, to find out a missing person, to find out if there's a wanted person or anything.
Pick me. Okay.
Right.
They have those on police cars too, though, right?
We had actually in one of the departments I worked at had one in one of our cars. But
no 6 impossible, not for me.
What?
She said there's a first time for everything for me and you. I guess go bar hopping or pub
crawling,
whatever it is.
Club crawling or whatever. Excuse me. But it's something that when I hear about this gravel pit pond, we have those all over North Alabama. And it's what it is that these mountains that they cut limestone out of, they'll dig these huge big pits for limestone. And what will happen is they'll hit a spring, and that spring will fill the water up in these things before they can move their tractors out. There's several I know of in this area that they use for diving. They're blue. They look blue, actually. They got cranes in them. They got all kinds of cars in them, but people just stole cars and just drove it off in there. I mean, they never find it. So they will need something. Now I'm going to...
Hey.
What?
Remember when we had that pool in our backyard that you just pulled the plug out of the bottom of it and it filled it up in the summertime from that spring?
Yeah.
Okay, time out. Sarah has a question. She says, when you're done, I've got a question. Why have they not listed Burry Morphy as a suspect? What do they need to list anyone as a suspect? Like, what do they need?
I think that they could possibly list him as a person of interest, but they don't have anything. All they have is a lot of circumstantial evidence. They don't have really any concrete. They've got to establish that, one, she is probably dead. They've got to establish that, number one. Two, they got to establish that he had something to do with it. Just for the simple facts that there's a lot of stuff that make you want to say, maybe he could be involved in this. I mean, we're looking at, he has said all these stories. I think the last thing that they had was the fact that he said that he kissed her goodnight or in the morning, see you later at 5:30, when his workers said that he was on his phone at 4 a.m. driving down the road. So that's, there's a lot of circumstantial stuff, but I don't think there's enough. Plus, if you name somebody a suspect, the first thing they're going to say is lawyer. And they don't want that. They want to be able to, maybe get him in to talk again, or maybe get him into a situation where he doesn't go out and hire a lawyer, and then the lawyer becomes his mouthpiece. Right now, there's a lot of stuff happening where he's doing things and making statements to people, and you can tell he does not have the advice of counsel. If I was his lawyer, I would tell him, don't talk to nobody, because when you talk to people, the press especially, anything in the future is going to be used against you. and that they just don't have enough. I do want to mention, yeah, you mentioned Kitty. That's exactly what I was going to mention. You want to hear some? You want to see some rock star YouTubers? I'm talking about rock stars. Adventures with a Purpose. I want you to go to their website, their YouTube channel. They're working almost on 1 million subscribers. They're working towards it. These guys are rock stars, in my opinion. And I actually put that on one of their sites. These guys, and I think I've got actually their channel pulled up here in one of my photos here. I hope I did. I meant to do it. If I didn't do it, no, I didn't. I apologize. It's called Adventures with a Purpose. They are actually, what they started their channel was, they claimed they want to clean up the environment, so they dove all these lakes and everything, and you wouldn't believe all the trash that's in these rivers, trucks, cars, everything. Well, they started going around and helping these people with missing person cases. Like one, they had information that the guy's truck was in the river. And so they dove this river. They got videos on, you can't see 6 inches in front of your face. They dove the river, they found the truck, they hooked it up, the airbags, they floated it, and then they pulled it out of the wrecker, and they found a body inside, which he'd been dead for so long, I'm very sure it was skeletal remains. But they covered it up, called the sheriff's office, and the sheriff, man, he thanked them because he didn't have the resources to do this. But they travel around in an RV, older RV, and they dive in these dry suits. Super humble guys, super humble. Go visit their channel, subscribe to them. I don't have nothing but absolute positive things to say about these guys. It's easy for me, the retired law enforcement guy, to go and examine these cases, and we can talk about it. And I talk to people about our channel all the time, and I say we are a gigantic jury pool. We're investigators, and we're a jury pool. We're looking at all the evidence and trying to form kind of like opinions of it. And I think we do a good thing, and so does Plunder, and so does Profiling Evil, and so does Tube Crime. But I think these guys are hands-on. You know what I'm talking about? They are hands-on. So this would be perfect for them, this case. Now, I know for a fact that they actually did do some diving on this case, but they did the river. I don't know if they did the actual gravel pit where, a gravel pit pond, or how big this pond was. But the ponds on our gravel pits up here are like 90 to 100, 120 feet deep. And I know a guy that dove one in this area. This is up where we used to live, just north of the Tennessee line. There was one, and he dove it. He said there's all kinds of cars, motorcycles, probably every one of them stolen. And they just, if they want to get rid of something, they drive it over into this thing. Unless you go diving in there, you'll never know it's there. And a lot of people that dive these quarries don't go down to the bottom, because a dive over 100 feet is considered a deep dive. And so you'd have to have enough air to do your decompression stops, at like 50 to 60 feet, 10 feet and all that, so you don't get the bends. So, but go over, tell him I sent you over there if you don't mind. And when you're in his chats, they do some chats, they do some videos, but he's got tons of videos and just really, really interesting stuff. I have personally, when I was in my 20s, was into scuba diving. I've dove in rivers before trying to salvage. I remember me and a buddy dove in a river to get a sail off a small sailboat that fell over in the river. Never did find it. We dove to get some car keys that somebody lost off a pier. We did find those, but it was weird. About 15 feet down, it was deep right in front of the pier. There was a spring that was right across the bottom of the river. You could actually get down in the spring and see about 30 or 40 feet. You go up about 10 feet, couldn't see this far up under your face. So they're super. They work with sonar and all kinds of stuff. And
Lady Justice says they're going to be in Colorado the 29th and 30th of the season.
Yeah, I heard they were doing that, and we're going to follow that too. Their efforts out there, because I'm going to tell you what. Like I said, these guys, in my opinion, are rock stars. They really are. They're doing some great things with their ability. They've got tanks. They've got all this high zoot, is that what I used to call it, equipment. And they've done some, if you go back, you'd be very entertained to go back and watch some of the stuff they do. And they're pretty humble. And I'm very impressed. As a former law enforcement officer, I'm very impressed with their channel. I'm hoping what they will do. Yeah, thanks, Amy. I do appreciate that. Thank you very much. It every little bit helps. The channels out there that are actually doing good, I'll promote them too. I have seen some out there though that's scary. They're making some wild accusations. I'm not going there. And we can look at everything, just like somebody asked, why haven't they got Barry as a suspect? I think law enforcement may have enough to name him person of interest for sure, but I think that's strategically done by them that they don't want to do that. And it's only because they do not want him to lawyer up. They don't want him to, every time they speak to him, he says, talk to my attorney. And because once that happens, it's almost impossible to do any further interview of him. I mean, you can't talk to him without an attorney. You have to stop right there. I remember a case where when I was in narcotics, we were leaving the office, 3 of us in a car. We were going to look at something, and they gave out a shooting less than about 3 miles from where our office was. So being police officers and naturally wanting to be involved in everything and being curious, we went. We were like 3rd unit on the scene. We got up there and I asked the guy, his car was parked sideways in the road and he had fallen out. And at first they thought it was a hunting accident. I probably told this once before, but they had, because it was a hunting range out in that area, so people were hunting deer and stuff. But when they pulled him out, they realized he had 2 bullet wounds in him. And what it came down to, this guy was dating a woman that was married, and they believed the ex-husband the husband was the one that did it. But when they went to talk to him, he had already hired a lawyer. So when they went to speak to him, he said, "I'm sorry, I'm not speaking to you without my attorney present." And guess what? The attorney says, "We're not talking to you. We're not involved in this. We're not talking to you." And as of this date today, and this has been probably 30 years ago, I don't think that case has ever been resolved. So, when I was in law school, that's one of the things why I went back into law enforcement, because they told me it wasn't about justice. It was about getting your client off. And you can't, if your client comes in and says, I'm going to highlight this while I'm talking about it. If my client comes in and says he killed somebody and he's a little kid and he buried the body and he's not telling anything, you know what? And the parents are begging on the news to try to find their child. You can't say a thing because it's attorney-client privilege. Can't stop thinking about Stephanie Hollingsworth. Just read on Facebook missing page that she had a bag packed and was going to treatment soon. Reminds me of Monte Carlo. Yes. And, if you I watched a little bit of that today where the family was talking around a round table, and they were saying, look, we are what our efforts are and what they're still doing, and they want everybody to coordinate through them and the trailer, the RV where it's parked down in this parking lot, and not go out on their own so they won't double their efforts. And there were some people that said, you know, they were really criticizing, well, why aren't y'all out there now? Well, it was pouring down rain. They already explained that. And the fact that they needed to get all this information out there. I mean, they were not all somber. I mean, there was some laughing about stuff, but you know, I get the feeling, this is what my feeling is about that case. I get the feeling that they think she may be drunk somewhere or left on her own, or maybe not the whole family, but that she might be just up. You know, I'm not saying intoxicated, but maybe. I mean, everybody knows that's what's out there. Apparently she had an alcohol problem, and if she was going to treatment for it, that might be. But you know how a lot of people, they'll run that last thing, you know, treatment's good and you should go, but right before they go, they take off one last hurrah, more like. But, you know, maybe they believe, it's almost like they believe that she's somewhere on her own. It's maybe that's the words I meant to say. I think maybe she left on her own. Maybe. And maybe she's somewhere, and if she has an alcohol problem, maybe she is intoxicated and, you know, binge drinking. You know, maybe that's it. I don't know that to be a fact. Don't get me wrong. I don't know that to be a fact. Just from what y'all have told me, what other people have said online, it is pretty obvious she had some type of problem, whether it's mental or alcohol, and she was seen buying a bottle of vodka. Now, and somebody said the reason why she took money out of the bank and then went and bought the alcohol was she didn't want to be shown. I mean, she didn't want that to pop up on her credit card that she had bought alcohol. But you know what I was thinking too about that? Let's just say that's it. She didn't want somebody to know. You remember when she walked into that liquor store at Walmart? She walks right down the aisle, and it's like she saw somebody she knew, and she that face and went right out. She may at that point got into the shame mode. I mean, she may have saw somebody that knew she was an alcoholic, that knew, who knows who she saw. And then she may saw her own self. She could have looked up there and saw a camera showing her own self and just got, I don't know, depressed from it. And I know if you're this is maybe some analogy I'll throw out there, but it's not the seriousness of her situation. Losing weight for me is a battle. It's a battle.
Why?
Because my wife's a good cook. But it's a battle, and I'm going to tell you this. I was overweight all through my 30s, all through my 40s, and I'm creeping in on, my early 60s, and it's been a battle. But let me tell you, when my doctor told me that I was pre-diabetic, it scared me into keto diet. It scared me. I lost 50 pounds, 50. So when I quit keto, I gained some of it back. I gained about 20 pounds back. Well, I got another doctor appointment like next week. So I realized, hey, I need to get in shape a little bit. So I've been back on keto again, and I'm down 5 pounds, but it is like horrible. And if I eat a little bit of something I shouldn't eat, I feel so guilty. I feel real guilty about it. So I can imagine if I was an alcoholic or had that, and I did something, I fell off the wagon, whatever, and I was looking at my family, feeling my disappointed in my family again. Have you ever been around somebody that is a true alcoholic and they're intoxicated? You'll hear them talk about that. I'm no good. I disappointed my family. Oh, my kids are this, and I look at me. I didn't, oh, woe is me type of behavior. But that's part of the disease. It's a part of the mentality of the disease. So, and you're right. Alcohol withdrawal is fatal. Can be fatal, but we're hoping, what I'm hoping, and I know that a lot of them are hoping that maybe she's somewhere in a hospital somewhere, but there's no information on that. And here's the thing they said today, that she's been gone 2 weeks. She could be anywhere.
But didn't her husband talk about her in past tense?
I don't know about that. Look at her again here. She could be anywhere. The big thing is they have not found her car. And we're going to show her detailed thing that they did for her car. It's pretty. The tires itself, the wheels on it, that's pretty, the rims, I guess you'd say, that's pretty standout-ish, The other stuff, dark faded and all that, I don't, that doesn't mean anything to me. That wouldn't make no difference to me. The champagne, only thing I see on that whole thing that I would pay any attention to is the wheels. Maybe the faded hood, but if you live in Florida, every car's got a faded hood just about. I'm telling you, down there where we used to live, it was just, anything close to the Gulf of Mexico too is like rusting out. Anything, it doesn't matter what it is. But I kind of want to say that I don't think this is an abduction. I'm not seeing it as a. Not to say that it can't be, though. Not to say that she could have meant to go off on her own drinking somewhere and then ran into foul play. That could very well have happened. But I think the car, the Explorer or whatever it is, the Tahoe, will show up. I think that's going to, when that shows up, that's going to lead them to a lot of stuff. But you think about this. She left her phone at home. She didn't want to be traced. She left her phone at home. And when the women leave their phone at home, they're saying, I don't want to do that. Unless you accidentally.
Okay, he got that look just then, girls.
Unless you accidentally leave it at home. But I'm talking about, you're going out shopping and you leave your phone at home on purpose. I don't know.
Tell them last week I made a cobbler, an apple cobbler, the way my grandmother makes it. Double deckered. You put that layer of apples, butter, sugar, cinnamon, and then you put the pie crust on top, homemade pie crust on top, cook it, then put another layer and cook it.
See why? I can't
okay,
lose
wait
weight.
a minute. And so Tommy said, you're not helping me at all lose weight. And I said, I can't help it. It's in my genes. I just have to bake. And we have this young man that hangs around with us from time to time. And he said, if you keep baking like that, you ain't going to fit in your jeans.
Oh, man. But, yeah, I agree. Women normally, unless they forget, don't leave their cell phone. I don't know. Could have gotten an accident. Well, if she would have gotten an accident because her car is entered in the NCIC as a missing person, when the police officer puts those tag numbers, see, when they go up to an accident, they run your driver's license, start off with. Anybody in an accident, they always run your driver's license, and they put your tag, they run your tag number to get a printout of it so they can get the so they can get your VIN number for their accident report. And a lot of them auto feeds into the report. So they would have came up right then. Even the way, and let me explain something. The way NCIC works. Say she's in an accident before she's reported missing. And they put their tags in there, and of course, nothing's going to come up. When they report her missing, that's going to pop on NCIC. It's going to be bing. That subject's tag was ran within so many days, you know, in a window area there within 30 days, you know, so that they will know what's going on. It's just like anything else. If you have something stolen from a car stolen and is stopped by somebody and you're on vacation, and 2 weeks after you get back on vacation, you realize, hey, my car's stolen. You call the police report and they put it in the NCIC. Thing they come up and say, you know, this car was stopped and this guy's driving it, and we're going to go talk to him.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's the problem. I was skinny growing up. I weighed 165 pounds.
You weighed 130 when we
about
got
130
married.
when we got married, and I'm not going to tell you, it's just it's been a slow decline.
Y'all,
for
he
me.
was so skinny when we got married, and I only weighed about 100 pounds, but I could whip him because I grew up with 6 brothers. And I don't mean whip him. I mean, I could hold him down and tickle him and stuff like that.
But it's just a long process. She's a very good cook. Very good cook. She makes great pies, cakes, everything. It's just, it kills me sometimes. But what she can do, she does it, and she knows I can't eat them. She'll make these chocolate drop cookies out of oatmeal.
You used
She'll
to
make
eat them.
these. I used to could eat them.
Those were his favorites.
But I can't eat them now because if I eat chocolate, migraine, or a headache, bad headache.
I bet you that everybody knows what a chocolate oatmeal drop cookie is. You don't bake
probably,
it.
Yeah, it's not bake it. But you can do it with peanut butter, and they're really good too.
Yeah.
But I don't need to think about that right now. You know, I need to lose. I'm wanting to calm down. I need to lose 35 more pounds if possible. So hopefully I'll lose a lot of this, or I need to get a facelift, one or the other. What do you think? Just
What? No.
take that right there.
Y'all, he
stand
wanted
up.
to have a date with Miss Clairol, and I told him, no way. I love that white hair. He's so distinguished looking with
Don't
it.
say that. I hate that word, distinguished. Man, gosh, it sounds so old. But anyway, I do appreciate everybody being here tonight. And go over and check out Adventures with a Purpose. I'm telling you, these guys are rock stars in my opinion.
Okay, can I say something? Last week we discussed about doing a special on the indigenous women that have come up missing.
Right.
And yesterday was the Indigenous Christopher Columbus Day in America, and President Trump signed into law the Indigenous women. Hold on a minute, I got the exact law he signed into effect.
Which is great.
Yes, it is fantastic. He signed in to law. I've got it right here. President Trump signed a bill Saturday aimed at addressing missing and murdered Native Americans. The Savannah Act will establish national law enforcement guidelines between federal government and American Indian tribes to help track, solve, and prevent crimes. The law is named after Savannah LaFontaine Graywind, a pregnant 22-year-old Spirit Lake tribal member from North Dakota who was killed in 2017. This was bipartisan. And for those of you that don't live in America, for it to be a bipartisan is fantastic.
Absolutely. And you know what? I've read so much about these women. What happens is they go missing, and sometimes they're never even reported. It's way late. You got the tribal police is one thing, and then you got federal authorities that can investigate on tribal land, but regular police departments can't go out there.
Okay, so murder is the third leading cause of death for American Indian / Alaskan Native women, according to the Urban Indian Health Institute. In 2016, there were 5,712 cases reported of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, but only 116 cases were logged into the DOJ database. Wait a minute, there was 5,712 in 1 year?
Yeah, well, see,
Oh.
see, here's the problem. If you got, if you go out to Arizona or Utah, all of Monument Valley is on an Indian reservation, the whole thing. And a lot of Utah is on an Indian reservation. A lot of Arizona is on an Indian reservation. And see, in Alabama, you don't see that. You have the Porsche Creek Indians, but they have a very small area that their reservation is. But out there, that land is like, they got thousands of acres. Well, the police, thank you, Sarge. I really appreciate that. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, man.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. But on these reservations, you can't, the federal authorities can go out there and the Indian authorities can, but your local sheriff and all that have to be invited out there by the Indians. You can't. Thank you very much again. I so much appreciate that. But your local sheriff and all that, they have to be invited out there to assist. They have no jurisdiction there. And anything that's prosecuted or arrested out there is usually handled by the tribal council and the tribal, whoever's in charge of tribal police. So it's very, I think one of the problems is they're underfunded, undermanned. If you ever drive across a Indian reservation, it will break your heart to see how they live. It will absolutely break your heart. If you have any human compassion in your soul for other people and how they live, it will break your heart.
Yes.
But I'm telling you, these people live in complete poverty out there. You don't see these, you do not see these nice brick homes out there or
They
anything.
may have some homes, but they don't have electricity or
Right,
plumbing in them a lot of times. Our government has totally, I don't want to use that word, but they have totally messed up our American.
It's almost like they've been forgotten.
That's right.
They've been forgotten. And,
and they should not have been.
No, they should not have been. But you go out through there, and now if you go to these places like Monument Valley or some places near the Grand Canyon, you'll see these little Indian places set up selling trinkets and everything. And you know what? I try to stop and at least buy something because I know what they're doing it for. They're doing it for food. And they're just, you drive into, that's why alcoholism on the reservations is the highest in anywhere in America. Suicide's high. Crime is very high because it's almost like a forgotten people. It's really just sad. It really is sad. And I encourage you to, if you don't know about the reservations and how they live and the drug problem and everything, research it, find it. If you think about this, just think if the government would have treated the South like that. They did after the war. That's why they have carpetbaggers and all that stuff, and you read about that. But just think if they put us in a reservation, basically the southern portions, how that would be. If the government basically has let this. Now I know the government does supply some things to the Indians, but I'm telling you, it's very, if you drive through there, it's very sad. I didn't see a single place that I would want to live in, not the whole time I was there. And we drove across to the Grand Canyon. We drove across you're welcome. You're welcome, Melinda. And now I tell you, Sarge, we're going to address this. I want to report on also, and it's going to take some research by me and y'all about the indigenous people and Indians. Now, I read a case where I was going to report it only like 2 weeks ago, but they turned up finding her deceased before I could report on it. And what it was, this actually girl, I can't remember her name. It was like Gray Wolf or something. They had car problems on the interstate. It was in the wintertime or some bad weather. It couldn't have been winter, but it was bad weather. And the girl took off walking. And they thought she'd been kidnapped, but they ended up finding her, deceased in the desert. I thought for whatever reason where she was going, but you just don't know too. She might have been catcalled out the window of some cars and felt like she needed to walk into the desert, but she was deceased. But your husband is, how do you pronounce that, Dina? And his great uncle is Chief Clarence Lobo.
Juanito?
16th. I guess you know that you can go to college free in America, don't you? That's the one thing. I had a friend that had a lot of Indian in his blood, and
they got to have more Indian blood in them than Pocahontas. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said
that's
that.
Bad.
That's bad. I'm sorry.
But they, if you got any truth, your Indian heritage can be substantiated. Then you can go to actual college free. And so at least that is good. Beautiful people yeah, exactly. It is very beautiful people. And down here in Alabama, they have the Poarch Creek Indians, and they have the powwow. If you've ever been to a powwow, it is awesome. I mean, you sit in a big circle, and they come out, they do the traditional dances. You can go around and see them, make things and all that. And it's just amazing. Even little kids are taught to dance. And we actually...
Crazy Horse. That's where we went.
Yeah, Crazy Horse. It was great. Crazy Horse was great. I want to tell you something, too.
Been there,
if also Custer's, where Custer got killed, Little Bighorn, the park ranger that tells the story about that, she was Indian.
Yeah.
And she told it from the Indian standpoint, something that I had never heard.
It was amazing.
It was an amazing story. What she was saying was that Custer and his men were there to, what they were trying to do was basically put down this uprising of Indians. And so they were going into, the Indians believed that they were going in to kidnap the women and children and hold them for ransom, so that the Indians would basically give up their resistance to taking of their land. And what they didn't know was that the 2 or 3 big tribes, over 4,000 Indians, were right within a mile away in a big powwow meeting. And so they rode on their camp down there. Custer was going to ride on that little Indian village, and they got taken over and killed. But it was very, very interesting, because the way she said it was, the Indians were there to protect their family. They were doing it not for warring against the American cavalry. They were to protect their family. It was very good. It was very, very good. And when I thought about, I used to think about Little Bighorn as our what's that, the river there? I guess but I always thought it as being like a huge river. And it isn't. It's like 100 yards or not even 100 yards wide. And where this happened was on just a knoll. That's basically where it is. It was like a knoll. But if you ever had the chance to go out west, or if you're not in America and you had the chance to go to America, a lot of people that come here from overseas want to go to D.C. and want to go to Disney World. They want to go see the sites that you hear about all the time. But I highly encourage you going to like Utah, Wyoming, Montana, South Dakota, Arizona. See the Southwest, where there's so much out there to see. It's amazing. It's really, really amazing. And we haven't seen hardly any of it. We've seen the major parks, but
the Grand Tetons.
The Grand Tetons, my number one favorite so far. But it is It is very humbling to see, and it really is very humbling. Anything else anybody want to talk about? Any questions? Anything at all?
Can I share something else?
What?
Maybe not.
What?
TikTok. Okay. So you were talking about TikTok. Y'all, there's another one that's called the Skull Cracker.
Yeah, that
Challenge.
was before this.
Skull
but
Breaker.
That was the one I was trying to think of.
Yeah. That's so stupid. The Outlet Challenge. Wait a minute. The Cereal Challenge. Did you see that? Look at this. The girl lays, or whoever lays down on the counter, they pour cereal in their mouth and then pour milk in their mouth. What? Who comes up with these things? The Bright Eye Challenge. Listen to this, guys. The Bright Eye Challenge involves mixing bleach, hand sanitizer, jelly, shaving cream into a bag, then that lethal mixture goes into the user's eyeball for 1 entire minute. Afterwards, the mixture is supposed to make one's eyes look lighter. It does not work.
Crazy. Was anybody here wasn't here last time that saw the Benadryl challenge? Because I think it really needs to be shown again. I'm going to play it again in case anybody missed it. It's so dangerous that I feel like, man, those two things are dangerous too. But this needs to be addressed. So y'all just watch this and bear with me if you've seen it. Bear with me.
Okay.
Social media challenge has resulted in the death of an Oklahoma City teenager. The 15-year-old girl overdosed while taking what is being called the Benadryl challenge on TikTok. The apparent goal of the challenge is to hallucinate after taking a dozen or more doses of the pill. The same challenge was blamed for the hospitalizations of at least 3 teens in Texas back in May. Doctors say large doses of Benadryl can cause seizures and heart arrhythmia. The girl's friends and loved ones are asking parents and others to monitor teen social media accounts to keep this from happening to other families.
They said that somebody asked about the Rogers case. I understand.
Crystal Rogers.
Crystal Rogers, her body
Her
was
boyfriend's
found.
named as a suspect.
Okay.
Her remains were found August 6th.
That's awful. You know, that's the thing. I was looking through missing person cases just to see what all was going on, and a bunch of them were found deceased. You know, there's plenty out there to talk about, though. There's plenty, and we are hopefully going to continue on and cover as much as we can. It's to bring something back to light that happened 10 or 15 or 20 years ago, especially when nobody's talking about it, I think is a good thing. But if you have any,
I don't know if you can show that. They're asking for a picture of what that girl looked like. Can you?
Y'all see that?
I'll tell you in just a second. Okay. Turn around. Yep, there she is.
Beautiful girl.
That's Crystal Rogers.
Here's the thing. What I can't understand for the life of me. You got a boyfriend that's upset with this girl. Why don't he just leave? I mean, why do they go and kill them? Or a husband that's got a problem with his wife or whatever. Why, even if they want a divorce and you're not going to end up with anything, why kill them? Deprive them, their kids, of their mother or father. I can't understand that. I don't know. I don't know. But go over, like I said, to watch Adventures with a Purpose. And if you can, if he does have a live stream, or you want to put there that we sent you over there, I would appreciate it, because I do want him to know that we are supporting his channel. I'm just super impressed with what he's doing, and he's moving more to try to help those people get closure that by finding the bodies. Now, what he will do if he comes up there around Susan Morphew, he will check the lakes because that's his thing. He checks water where they're divers. They're very experienced, and he'll go check the water.
Hey, on that Crystal Rogers case, her boyfriend, Brooks Hawk, had been named a suspect in her disappearance, while his brother, a former Bardstone police officer, was fired after it was discovered he was hindering the investigation into her disappearance.
Wow.
That's so sad.
Very, very sad outcome for sure. Wow. Anybody else got anything else? I'm trying to read some things. Medina could very well do a baking class. I've been trying to get her to get a YouTube channel going.
Well,
but you know, with everything else we have going on right at the current time, it's a little bit tough to do it. She's a very good cook, and she'd be very good at it. YouTube cooking channel, maybe.
There's too many cooking channels on, but we are doing a. I don't know. Some of y'all may not know it, but we make homemade wine. We don't drink it, but we make it. Our friends love us, but we make it to enter it into a fair. And I've won a bunch of blue ribbons, and Thomas won a couple of blue ribbons for his kiwi wine.
First time I tried it, I won a blue ribbon for my kiwi wine.
And we're making some pear cayenne pepper wine right now, and we're filming it.
Yeah, we are filming that, and it's no, not moonshine. It's in the United States, you can make, or at least in Alabama, you can make up to 6 gallons per person per year. And her dad is the reason. Her dad is a master winemaker, and he taught her because none of her brothers wanted to learn, and she does it out of a hobby. Really, it's it's kind of a hobby. What did you say here? Unsolved missing. There are many, really. I'll look into that. If you want to send me a Sergeant, if you want to send me a lot of times when people, if you have one in particular, just drop an email to me down there, and I'll look into it. But if not, I will prowl the internet and try to find one, maybe for tomorrow night. That would be good. Watch what?
I don't
Watch
know.
Mama Rambling. She does a cool little crafts and stuff. Screen participating.
Marilyn said, "Getting ready to leave your site." I hope I did not offend her.
What?
I don't know. It may have.
Which one was Marilyn?
I don't know. She just wrote up there.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Marilyn.
Russell. Getting ready to leave your site.
Hey, don't leave. Listen. We make homemade wine, but we don't. It's not like we're drunkards. We actually give it to our friends, and we do it to enter into the fair, and we do it also to share her father, which is in his 80s, share his thing he does. He likes doing it. I mean, they don't like have drunken brawls or get drunk every weekend. That's not what it's about.
Amen, lady. Lady for justice. Got to remember.
Yes.
Ross, she may not have been, it may not have been anything like, she may not have been leaving because she was upset. I just didn't, I always hate to upset somebody.
Yeah, I try to do the best I can not to upset people, but occasionally I do. And someday when we got some time, I will go over some things on my analytics that y'all are probably going to be surprised at, because I'm very surprised at it, of how many people have subscribed and then unsubscribed. It's amazing. What?
Nothing. I lost you just for a second.
Okay. Well, I do appreciate everybody coming tonight. We'll do something tomorrow night. I will look into. I'll look into something, some missing in Arkansas, and also I've got a couple of others that have been in my box, my email box, that I need to look at. And
did you have a story?
I've told 4 or 5 today. I think
They
that's
weren't
probably
funny
enough.
enough.
I don't know any funny things anymore. I'm
You're
funny storied out.
You're
I'm funny
out.
stored out tonight anyway.
Oh, come on. There has to be one.
No, I don't know. I can't think of it right now. I'm not going to right now.
Oh, it might be a bad one if you tell it, right?
But we do appreciate y'all coming. God bless all of y'all. Stay safe. And
somebody wanted to see the puppy.
if
Are you going to play the puppy video again?
y'all, well, I don't even know if I have the puppy. Oh yeah, I do.
Okay.
I've got a cell phone thing of my puppies.
Maggie.
What I'll do is
Come here, Maggie.
I'll let it run out, and then I'll play our ending thing.
Come here, Fatty. Come here, Fatty.
Our pups had to go to the vet today. Gracie and them
Fatty.
had to go to the vet today.
Come here.
And
Come here. Come over here. Look, here. You got her? Here, cover.
Little Yoda.
Cover. Come on. All right, I'll take you. Ooh.
Oh gosh.
And then
And this
there's
is
the
Maggie.
Maggie, look here. Look here. Do you see? What is it? No, get right there.
What is it? No.
Oh,
She's gonna
Lord.
make it go on the floor here. But I'll play that on the outro, and I hope I don't bore you with it. And we will see you tomorrow night at 7:00. And maybe something big will happen in some of these cases that we're talking about. I'd love to have somebody actually found in one of these raids where they can get some of these bad guys doing it. Listen, big applaud to the U.S. Marshals, a bunch of U.S. Marshals friends that are still serving in the trenches out there. They do a tremendous job in human trafficking cases. And with big applause to those guys. They do not get the recognition that they need. And we will see you tomorrow night. God bless y'all and have a good night. And I'm going to play this for you. Ready?
He's just not as good at it.
Ready? Good girl, Mag. Good. You ready?
Gotta get down.
Down. You ready?